Stillness is often mistaken for passivity, yet it is one of the most active states of human existence. To be still is not to do nothing, it is to gather, to focus, to return to the center from where all movement originates. Just as the calm surface of a lake reflects the sky with clarity, so too does a still mind reflect truth without distortion. The power of stillness lies in its ability to awaken awareness, to sharpen perception, and to allow energy to flow without obstruction. When stillness is cultivated, it becomes a silent force that reshapes how one sees, feels, and acts in the world. Modern life praises speed, noise, and constant motion. People rush from task to task, distracted by endless screens, believing productivity is measured only in movement. Yet, the deepest strength is not born from constant doing. It emerges from pausing, from entering the vastness of inner quiet, from withdrawing one's energy from scattering forces. Stillness becomes the root of true action, because it allows intention to settle, energy to reorganize, and clarity to arise. A warrior does not swing his sword wildly. He waits, he listens, he moves at the precise moment when stillness has given him vision. The human body is always breathing, the heart is always beating, yet beneath this rhythm exists a deeper silence. To sit, to breathe consciously, and to listen to that inner rhythm is to touch the foundation of life. Stillness does not demand isolation, but it requires attention. It is not the absence of sound or movement around you, but the calm presence you cultivate within, regardless of what surrounds you. When the storm rages outside and one remains steady within, this is the real expression of power. In stillness, the mind reveals its patterns. The restless thoughts rise and fall like waves, yet when no effort is made to chase them, they lose their power. To be still is to become the observer, not the prisoner of the mind. When awareness is not entangled, one begins to see the endless noise for what it is, temporary, fleeting, without substance. This recognition creates space, and in that space one discovers freedom. In this way, stillness becomes an instrument of liberation, dissolving the grip of unnecessary burdens. Stillness also transforms energy. When one is restless, energy leaks out through scattered actions, through overthinking, through agitation of body and mind. But when one enters stillness, energy gathers, condenses, and strengthens. The body feels lighter, the breath deeper, the spirit steadier. This concentrated energy is not wasted. It can then be directed with precision. Just as water flowing everywhere cannot cut stone, but water channeled into a single stream carves valleys, so does stillness channel human energy into transformative power. Nature reveals this lesson constantly. The tree does not force itself to grow, it remains rooted in stillness, and from that grounding, life expands. The mountain does not chase the clouds, it stands unmoving, and all things revolve around its presence. The seasons shift, the winds howl, the rains fall, yet the mountain's stillness radiates power that does not need to shout. This is not weakness, this is the essence of unshakable strength. Stillness is also the beginning of true understanding of self. Without pausing, without silence, the noise of the world fills the mind until one forgets the sound of their own essence. In stillness, however, one meets themselves, not the roles, not the titles, not the masks worn for society, but the raw, unfiltered presence of being. That presence does not need validation. It does not need comparison. It simply is. To dwell in that awareness is to experience a depth of peace that cannot be disturbed by external chaos. The world fears stillness because it removes the illusions people cling to. In stillness, distractions lose their power. One begins to notice how much of life is spent avoiding silence, avoiding being alone with oneself. Yet it is only in that encounter that growth begins. Stillness holds up a mirror and asks, what are you running from? What have you refused to feel? What have you buried beneath constant movement? To answer these questions is uncomfortable, yet through stillness, the answers rise gently, ready to be seen, healed, and released. The power of stillness is also practical. In decision-making, stillness allows space before reaction. Instead of rushing into action driven by emotion, one pauses. In that pause, wisdom arises. The clarity of choice does not come from noise, it comes from stillness. Leaders, warriors, healers, artists, those who have touched greatness in their fields, often speak of a state of stillness before their finest work. It is a space where time slows, where the mind quiets, and where action flows effortlessly from a place deeper than thought. When the body is still, the breath becomes a guide. Each inhale gathers energy, each exhale releases tension. With each cycle, the nervous system resets, the mind clears, the spirit centers. What once seemed overwhelming becomes manageable. What once felt chaotic becomes ordered. Stillness restores balance not by adding anything new, but by revealing what was always present beneath the layers of noise. The cultivation of stillness is a discipline. It requires patience, practice, and courage. For some, stillness feels unbearable because it exposes the truth of their own restlessness. Yet the more one returns to it, the more strength it offers. Stillness is not an escape from life. It is the deepest participation in it. It is to be fully awake, fully present, fully attuned to the subtle flow of existence. It is in this state that energy aligns, awareness sharpens, and transformation begins. Stillness is not reserved for the meditation cushion or the monastery. It can be carried into daily life, walking, eating, speaking, listening. It is the calm within action, the silence within sound, the unshaken ground beneath the steps. When one learns to dwell in this inner stillness, then every act becomes infused with presence. Words gain weight, actions gain clarity, and even silence itself becomes a teaching. Mystery carries a presence that cannot be explained by simple words, formulas, or concepts. It is something that humbles the human mind because it reminds us that not everything can be captured, dissected, and placed neatly into the box of logic. When we approach life only with the need to understand, to measure, to prove, we restrict ourselves to what can be rationalized. But mystery invites us to something greater. It is the whisper that tells us there are layers of existence beyond the surface. It draws us to sit in silence, to wonder, to question without demanding an immediate answer. In that stillness, the depth of life begins to reveal itself not in conclusions, but in experiences. The value of mystery lies in the fact that it protects us from arrogance. When everything seems known, when all appears predictable, the mind begins to close. It becomes rigid, confident in its assumptions, unwilling to see what lies beyond its current horizon. Mystery breaks that rigidity. It humbles us into realizing that no matter how much knowledge we gather, it is only a drop in the vast ocean of what is. This recognition opens the heart to curiosity and keeps the mind flexible. To carry a sense of mystery is to carry an openness to learning, to accept that life is more than what we currently perceive. When one looks at the night sky filled with stars, there is a sense of vastness that cannot be explained. The human mind tries to calculate distances, origins, and scientific reasons for their existence, but the feeling of mystery remains. That feeling has value because it awakens awe. Awe is not weakness, it is not ignorance. Awe is strength because it allows the human being to remain connected to something greater. Mystery brings back reverence, and reverence makes us approach life with gentleness. Without mystery, life becomes mechanical. With mystery, life becomes sacred. Mystery also carries the power of patience. In a world that rushes to know everything instantly, to solve every question with immediate certainty, mystery slows us down. It teaches us that some answers cannot be forced. Some truths must unfold with time, through experience, through stillness. The mind may crave clarity, but clarity does not always arrive on command. Mystery asks us to wait, to live through the uncertainty, and to trust that meaning will arise when the time is right. This is how mystery strengthens the inner being. It trains the spirit to sit with the unknown without fear. There is also a deep connection between mystery and creativity. Every act of creation begins with not knowing. The artist stares at the blank canvas, the writer at the empty page, the musician at the silence before the first note. In that space of not knowing, there is mystery. It is not absence, it is potential. Mystery holds infinite possibilities. To embrace it is to welcome inspiration. Creativity thrives when one does not demand certainty, but instead allows the unknown to reveal itself in its own rhythm. Mystery is not an obstacle, it is the fertile ground where imagination grows. The value of mystery extends into relationships as well. To truly know another human being is impossible. We may learn their habits, their likes and dislikes, their stories, yet there is always a depth that cannot be reached. Each person carries an inner world that no one else can fully enter. This is not a problem to be solved, but a truth to be honored. When we accept that others are mysteries, we learn to respect their uniqueness. We do not reduce them to definitions or fixed labels. We allow them to evolve, to surprise, to reveal different aspects of themselves over time. This keeps relationships alive, dynamic, and full of depth. Mystery also reminds us of the limitations of control. The human desire to control stems from fear of uncertainty. Yet the more one tries to control, the more one suffers when life proves uncontrollable. Mystery teaches surrender, not in weakness but in wisdom. To live with mystery is to accept that some forces are beyond human grasp. This acceptance creates inner freedom. Instead of tightening around life, one loosens and allows it to flow. Control isolates, surrender connects. Mystery allows us to live connected to the flow of life rather than resisting it. There is value in mystery because it sustains wonder. Wonder is often lost as one grows older and becomes conditioned by repetition. Life begins to look ordinary, predictable, stripped of freshness. Mystery restores the sense that nothing is truly ordinary. Every moment carries layers unseen. Every breath is connected to forces beyond comprehension. Every experience holds depth when one looks closely. Wonder nourishes the spirit and mystery is its source. To live with wonder is to keep the spirit young and awake. Mystery is not an enemy of knowledge. Knowledge grows within the soil of mystery. Science itself began with mystery. The question, the curiosity, the spark of not knowing. Knowledge may expand, but it will never eliminate mystery because each answer reveals new questions. This is why mystery is infinite. Its value is eternal because it continues to inspire exploration, reverence, and humility. Without mystery, knowledge becomes dry facts. With mystery, knowledge becomes alive with meaning. To embrace mystery is to embrace life as it is, unfolding, unpredictable, immeasurable. It is to walk with openness, to live with curiosity, to sit with silence, to wonder without rushing, to honor the unknown not as a threat, but as a companion. The value of mystery lies not in solving it, but in allowing it to deepen the way we live, breathe, and see the world. In the journey of life, many people search endlessly for meaningful relationships, profound connections, and a sense of belonging. They look outward, convinced that the key to fulfillment rests in others. Yet the truth that wisdom reveals is that before one can truly connect with others, one must first connect with oneself. This is the essence of self-mastery. Without the ability to govern your own mind, emotions, and actions, every connection you build will remain fragile, unstable, and dependent on external circumstances. Self-mastery is the foundation, the inner discipline that enables authentic connection to flourish. To master oneself is not to dominate but to understand. It is to cultivate awareness of the movements of thought, the fluctuations of emotion, and the impulses of the body. Without this awareness, we remain strangers to ourselves, chasing relationships or approval while lacking stability within. If one does not know their own depths, how can they expect another to know them? If one cannot sit in silence with their own thoughts, how can they expect to share silence with another without unease? The quality of our relationships mirrors the quality of our inner relationship, and that begins with mastery. The path of self-mastery begins with observation. Observe how the mind reacts when challenged, how the body responds under stress, and how emotions rise and fall like waves. Each reaction is a teacher, revealing where you are free and where you are still bound. For example, if anger arises easily when someone disagrees with you, this shows you are enslaved by the need to be right. If jealousy burns when another receives attention, this reveals attachment to external validation. To master oneself is to see these chains clearly and gradually loosen their grip. Only then can connection with others be free from the weight of unacknowledged shadows. Discipline is the companion of observation. Without discipline, awareness drifts like a boat without an anchor. Discipline does not mean suppression but direction. It is the willingness to train the body through stillness, to train the breath through calm, and to train the mind through focus. Just as a musician must master their instrument before creating harmony with others, so must an individual master their inner instrument before creating harmony in relationships. Discipline makes one reliable, not only to others, but to oneself. When you can trust yourself, others can trust you too. Emotional regulation is another pillar of self-mastery. Many seek connection as a way to be soothed or healed, but this places a heavy burden on others. When a person cannot regulate their own emotions, they unconsciously demand that others regulate them, leading to dependency and imbalance. But when one learns to sit with discomfort, to breathe through pain, and to accept feelings without acting impulsively, they no longer place that responsibility on others. Instead, they bring stability and presence to every connection, creating space for deeper authenticity. Self-mastery also means clarity of values. To know yourself is to know what you stand for, what you will accept, and what you will not compromise. Without this clarity, connection often leads to entanglement. One bends too much to please others or loses themselves in the current of another's desires. But with mastery, connection becomes alignment rather than sacrifice. You do not lose yourself in another. Instead, you meet them as a whole being, unshaken by the storms of external influence. The paradox of self-mastery is that it requires solitude before it bears fruit in connection. Time spent alone is not emptiness, it is cultivation. In silence, you hear the voice of your own spirit. In stillness, you discover the patterns of your mind. In solitude, you develop the strength not to fear being alone. From this strength arises the ability to connect without clinging, to love without possession, and to share without losing balance. Connection without self-mastery is fragile. It is based on need rather than choice, on fear of being alone rather than the joy of coming together. But connection born from mastery is steady. It does not collapse when tested, nor does it demand constant reassurance. Instead, it is like two trees growing side by side, rooted in their own soil yet sharing sunlight and rain. The strength of each tree supports the forest, but neither is dependent on the other for survival. In every tradition of wisdom, the teaching is the same: know yourself first. The Shaolin master disciplines the body before engaging with students. The philosopher examines his own mind before debating with others. The healer tends to their own wounds before caring for another. This is not selfishness, but preparation. Self-mastery is the ground from which meaningful connection arises. Without it, relationships remain tangled in projection, expectation, and imbalance. With it, they become clear, supportive, and enduring. The journey toward mastery is not swift, nor is it easy. It requires patience, humility, and persistence. It means confronting the parts of yourself that you would rather avoid, the habits you cling to, and the illusions you defend. But every step taken inward makes every step outward stronger. Every moment of self-discipline strengthens the presence you bring to another. Every insight gained within magnifies the clarity you offer in connection. And so, before seeking to be fully understood, seek to fully understand yourself. Before asking for loyalty, cultivate loyalty to your own principles. Before desiring peace in relationships, establish peace in your own mind. Connection is not the beginning of the journey, it is the reward of the inner work you have done. Only when mastery over self is cultivated can connection with others rise to its highest form, unshaken, unbounded, and filled with genuine presence. There exists a subtle but undeniable law that governs much of our inner and outer reality, a law that is not written in books of politics or economics, but that silently influences how our lives unfold. This is the law of energetic pull. It is not something mystical that can only be accessed by sages and monks. It is a force that is active within every human interaction, every thought, every intention, and every action. To ignore it is to remain blind to the currents shaping the direction of your life. To recognize it is to begin seeing how energy is not just something you expend, but also something you attract and draw toward yourself. Everything begins with frequency. Just as a magnet pulls iron filings toward itself, your energetic state pulls experiences, people, and opportunities toward you. If your frequency is low, rooted in fear, anger, and resentment, then you will naturally attract circumstances that echo those vibrations. If your energy is high, cultivated through clarity, discipline, and purpose, you will see how effortlessly the right conditions begin to flow into your life. This is not chance. It is alignment. The universe does not respond to what you merely wish for. It responds to what you radiate consistently. The law of energetic pull requires you to look closely at what you are sending out. Many people focus only on what they want to receive. They say, I want peace, I want abundance, I want respect. But their daily actions and emotions are filled with restlessness, scarcity, and self-doubt. The law does not listen to words alone. It listens to vibration. If the energy you emit contradicts the desire you hold, the pull will bring you more of what you are radiating, not what you are speaking. This is why inner discipline becomes essential. Without discipline, your mind becomes a generator of scattered signals, pulling in chaos rather than harmony. The energy of intention plays a vital role here. Intention is the focused direction of energy, like an arrow released from a bow. A scattered mind shoots arrows in every direction, hitting nothing of value. A focused mind, trained through silence, awareness, and self-control, channels energy like a precise stream, pulling toward itself the very conditions needed for growth. The law of energetic pull is not about forcing outcomes. It is about preparing yourself internally so that the outcomes naturally align with you. You do not chase them. They are pulled to you as a reflection of your energetic state. Consider relationships. If you constantly carry the energy of neediness, desperation, or lack, people sense it. They might not consciously identify it, but the vibration pushes them away. On the other hand, when you carry the energy of wholeness, contentment, and authenticity, you naturally pull people toward you. They feel at ease in your presence because you are not demanding energy from them, you are radiating it. The law of energetic pull works beyond words. It functions in the silent exchanges of energy that happen beneath the surface of every interaction. This law also governs opportunities. Many believe that opportunities are scarce and must be hunted with relentless effort. But when your energy is aligned, you notice how the right chances begin to appear almost effortlessly. The prepared mind pulls toward itself the doors that are ready to open. The unprepared mind sees only closed walls. It is not the world that changes. It is the energetic alignment of the individual that shifts what becomes visible and accessible. Energy that is stagnant cannot pull anything new. If you hold on to past pain, regrets, or grudges, your energy becomes heavy, fixed in the past, and unable to move forward. The law of energetic pull requires release. Just as a flowing river pulls along everything within its current, a person whose energy is free of unnecessary burdens will pull forward the experiences that match their new state. Letting go is not weakness. It is the very condition for attraction to occur. Discipline strengthens this law. A body trained to be resilient, a mind trained to be still, and emotions trained to remain balanced. These create an energetic field that is steady, reliable, and strong. Such energy does not fluctuate wildly with every external event. It pulls consistently because it radiates consistently. The more stable your energy, the more powerful your pull becomes. People call this presence. They say, this person has something about them, an aura, a magnetism. What they are really sensing is the law of energetic pull at work. To understand this law is to understand responsibility. You are not merely a victim of circumstances. You are constantly broadcasting signals into the world, and those signals are pulling back to you experiences that match. The question then is not, why is this happening to me? But what am I broadcasting energetically that is pulling this into my life? Such self-inquiry removes blame and shifts focus to personal mastery. When you begin living with awareness of the law of energetic pull, life becomes less about struggle and more about refinement. You refine your inner state. You purify your thoughts. You align your actions with your deeper values. And then, instead of chasing after life, you see life being drawn to you in harmony with the energy you maintain. The world is not responding randomly. It is responding to the rhythm you set within yourself. Respect is not simply a social courtesy, nor is it a shallow politeness offered in fleeting interactions. It is the ground upon which all genuine human connection is built. When we speak about desire, whether it is the desire for achievement, for growth, for connection, or even for love, we are speaking of an energy that is only sustainable when it arises from a foundation of respect. Without respect, desire quickly turns into greed, attachment, or obsession. With respect, desire becomes a flame that burns without consuming, a force that elevates rather than destroys. Respect, then, is not external, it begins within. To respect desire is to recognize it as powerful, to treat it not as a fleeting craving, but as an energy to be honored, disciplined, and understood. In many lives, desire is misunderstood. People chase desires recklessly, hoping that fulfillment lies in the mere satisfaction of the want. But satisfaction without respect is short-lived, leaving behind emptiness. To respect desire means to listen to it deeply, to ask where it originates from, and to discern whether it is aligned with one's higher purpose or simply a distraction of the moment. When respect is absent, people mistake indulgence for freedom, and they mistake consumption for fulfillment. When respect is present, they see desire as a guidepost, a signal pointing toward areas of growth, not as a master to be obeyed blindly. Respect also applies to the desires of others. When you interact with another human being, you are engaging with their longings, their dreams, their struggles. To trample over their desires in pursuit of your own is to sever the very fabric of trust that binds relationships together. A relationship without mutual respect becomes a battlefield of competing egos. A relationship with respect, however, transforms desire into harmony. Each person recognizes the validity of the other's inner world, and in this recognition both grow. Desire then ceases to be a selfish hunger and becomes a shared current of energy that strengthens connection. On a deeper level, respect disciplines desire. It tempers impatience. It creates space between the urge to act and the wisdom to reflect. Respect asks, is this desire worthy of your time? Is it worthy of your energy? Is it aligned with who you want to become? These questions prevent desire from enslaving you. They ensure that your pursuits do not scatter your focus or drain your vitality. When desire is respected, it becomes fuel for transformation. When it is disrespected, it becomes poison. The cultivation of respect begins with self-awareness. Many chase what they do not understand. They feel a pull toward possession, status, or recognition without questioning why. Respect requires pausing. It requires silence. It requires honesty. To sit with your desires without judgment, to examine them without rushing to fulfill them, is an act of deep respect. This examination reveals the roots of desire. Some are shallow, born of insecurity or comparison. Others are profound, born of genuine alignment with one's path. To treat them all equally is to dishonor the sacred. Respect discerns which desires are worth nurturing and which are better released. Respect as the core of desire also prevents exploitation. Throughout history, human beings have attempted to dominate nature, to consume its resources endlessly, driven by unchecked desire. The result is imbalance and destruction. If respect had been present, desire would have taken another form, not exploitation but stewardship, not greed but gratitude. The same principle applies within human interactions. When one person sees another as an object to fulfill their desires, harm is inevitable. When respect is foundational, desire honors the dignity of the other, and what emerges is balance, not exploitation. Respect deepens desire, making it more enduring. Shallow desires flicker and fade, replaced constantly by new cravings. But when desire is grounded in respect, it does not waver easily. It becomes steady, persistent, like water carving a path through stone. Respect ensures that desire is not just about the rush of attainment, but about the integrity of the journey. When you respect your desires, you cultivate patience, perseverance, and discipline. You no longer chase endlessly, you pursue meaningfully. It is also through respect that desire transforms into service. When respect expands beyond the self, desire ceases to be only about personal gain. It becomes about contributing, about uplifting, about creating value beyond the individual. A respected desire naturally connects with the greater whole. It understands that one's growth is not separate from the growth of others. In this way, desire turns into responsibility, and responsibility turns into legacy. The paradox is that many people fear respect because it requires humility. To respect desire is to admit that you do not fully control it, that it is a force that must be engaged with consciously. To respect others' desires is to admit that your perspective is not the only valid one. Respect demands restraint, patience, and openness. But it is precisely these qualities that elevate desire from mere impulse to creative power. Without respect, desire consumes. With respect, desire creates. Respect and desire are not opposites but companions. Respect provides structure and desire provides movement. Respect ensures depth and desire ensures vitality. Together, they form the rhythm of human growth. To respect desire is to treat it as sacred energy, to handle it with care, to shape it with wisdom. It is to recognize that within every desire lies not just a call for fulfillment, but an opportunity for transformation. And it is through respect that this opportunity can be realized fully, without distortion, without harm. Without emptiness, there is a paradox in life that most people do not realize until they have exhausted themselves, chasing, grasping, and holding. The paradox is that the more tightly we cling to something, the further it seems to drift away. The more desperately we pursue, the faster it seems to escape. What we crave, whether it is love, success, peace, or recognition, has a strange way of hiding from those who chase with restless energy. Detachment is not the denial of desire, nor is it the rejection of ambition. Rather, detachment is the art of loosening the grip so that the natural flow of life can move toward you. To detach is to attract, because attraction requires space, and space is only created when we let go of the heavy chains of attachment. Attachment is often mistaken for love, passion, or determination. Yet attachment is not love, it is fear disguised as care. When we are attached, we are afraid of loss, and fear consumes the energy we should be radiating outward. Imagine holding a bird in your hands. If you clutch it too tightly, you suffocate it. If you let it go completely, it may fly away, but the freedom you allow may be the very reason it chooses to return. This is the essence of detachment: giving space, giving freedom, and trusting the natural rhythm of life to bring what belongs to you without force. When we attach ourselves to outcomes, we shrink our own possibilities. A person who says, "I must achieve this or I will be nothing," chains themselves to a single path. But life is not a straight line, it is a river with countless bends and turns. To remain attached to only one outcome blinds you to the opportunities flowing all around you. Detachment opens your vision. It allows you to see beyond your limited expectations. It transforms you from a beggar asking life for scraps into a master who trusts the abundance of existence. The energy of desperation is heavy. It pushes things away. Think of two magnets with the same poles facing each other. The harder you push them together, the stronger they repel. This is what happens when we cling to people, opportunities, or outcomes. We project a vibration of lack, and that lack creates distance. Detachment, on the other hand, lightens your energy. It shifts you into a state of sufficiency, a state where you radiate trust instead of fear, peace instead of desperation. And because like attracts like, the calmness of detachment becomes a powerful magnet that draws toward you the very things you once tried to chase. Detachment is not about indifference. Indifference is cold and closed. Detachment is warm, open, and trusting. It is to care deeply but without control. It is to love without possession. It is to act without being enslaved by the outcome. A detached mind can give its best effort and then release the results into the flow of life, knowing that whatever returns is what was meant to return. A farmer plants seeds and waters them, but he does not sit at night pulling on the shoots, demanding they grow faster. He knows growth happens in its own time. Detachment is the same trust in the unseen processes of life. There is great strength in those who can let go. Weakness clings because it is afraid to lose. Strength allows space because it knows that what is real will remain. To detach is to acknowledge that not everything is meant for us, and not everything that is meant for us arrives when we want it. The universe operates on timing far greater than our schedules. Detachment honors this timing. It says, "I will prepare, I will work, I will give my best, but I will not poison my spirit with impatience or fear." Consider how much of human suffering comes not from what happens, but from the refusal to let go of what should have happened. Attachment to the past chains us to regret. Attachment to the future chains us to anxiety. Detachment breaks both chains. It does not erase memory, and it does not erase vision, but it frees us from the burden of needing life to obey our personal script. Detachment allows us to participate fully in the present, where true power resides. When you practice detachment, relationships change. Instead of suffocating others with neediness, you offer them the gift of freedom. And in freedom, love breathes. Work changes. Instead of being crushed under the weight of ambition, you channel your energy into effort and creativity, knowing that results will follow naturally. Even your inner state changes. Anxiety loosens its grip because your worth is no longer dependent on constant outcomes. Peace begins to replace pressure. The practice of detachment requires awareness. It requires watching your own mind and noticing when you begin to cling. You will see it in the tension of your body, in the way your thoughts race toward control, in the fear that rises when something feels uncertain. This awareness is the first step. The second step is release. Release is not a one-time act. It is a practice repeated again and again until your being learns that safety does not come from holding, but from trusting. The one who learns detachment becomes like a tree with deep roots. Storms may come, winds may howl, but the tree stands firm because it is not trying to hold the wind. It bends, it allows, it flows with nature. Detachment makes you resilient in the same way. You stop resisting the flow of life and begin aligning with it. What you seek then seeks you because your energy is no longer filled with resistance but with openness. To detach is to step into abundance. To detach is to acknowledge that what is truly meant for you does not need to be forced. Detachment is the silent confidence that says, "I trust, I allow, I create space." And in that space, attraction begins to work effortlessly because you have stopped chasing and started radiating